Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
Hello, hello.
We're gonna try to really yell so that the people all the way in the back can hear. So hopefully you can hear us.
I hope you can hear us too. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay.
Everyone can hear your rich, buttery, smooth voice,
Priya,
Stephen.
please.
So I'm here with probably one of the people I respect, admire, and look up to most in the food world, and that is Stephen Satterfield. He founded a remarkable media company called Whetstone. If you have Netflix, he hosts the unbelievable show High on the Hog. Amazing.
Thank you.
And he's just a really wonderful friend and person. And he's always traveling the world, and he comes in with these whirlwind visits to New York. I see him for 30 minutes, he leaves again. He's like my Brigadoon friend.
That's me.
And so it's a delight to get to talk to you today, Stephen.
Seriously, we're gonna catch up in front of
Yeah,
everyone.
exactly. So, I think the topic here is dining in the diaspora. And I think what I wanted to use this conversation to do was to talk to Stephen about what it was like, creating a media company that centered non-white voices, within the context of a media industry that tends to do the opposite, what we are doing, and then what you all can do as readers and consumers and cooks to, support a more diverse food world. So,
Yes.
the first question I had for you, Stephen, was, so what year did Whetstone start? Remind me.
Our first print magazine came out in 2017.
So tell me, what did the food landscape look like in 2017? What were you trying to change? Yeah.
Well, it took me about 2 years from ideation to actually publishing a magazine. And Whetstone, so at the time I was a sommelier at a restaurant in San Francisco called Nopa. And basically, I had a clear sense that there was something missing in the discourse and dialogue of food media. So at the time, it wasn't that long ago, but it seems like forever ago, there was basically in print, we had Bon Appetit, and on the digital spectrum, obviously New York Times, Vox Media, Eater, etc. And the landscape in food media at the time was like cheap eats, top 10 this, top 38, whatever. And then, what was happening at Bon Appetit.
Yeah.
And so basically, I was very annoyed as a person who had dedicated my life to food, that the parts of food that I found myself in and found attachment to, which was really just about the global diasporas. I didn't understand how we had gotten to such a reductive place where we couldn't talk about food outside of Michelin restaurants or chefs who had come through a very particular type of education. And so Whetstone was really born as a response to what was missing at the time.
I feel like you talk to a lot of food writers, and they talk about sort of the limitations that they often feel within sort of traditional media. I'm curious, what sort of freedoms did you grant yourself, your writers, your editors, that you felt like weren't being offered in sort of traditional food media?
Yeah, this wasn't like a visionary thing, just to be clear. Like I said, I was basically just annoyed. I was irritated about what was missing. And I didn't see, I don't come from media. I didn't graduate from college. My education is really about wine and viticulture. And so I didn't think that I would ever be able to get a byline in the New York Times like Priya Krishna. And so I had to create a platform for myself and ultimately for a larger community. And so that was really a luxury for me, I think, to be unencumbered by what would have been otherwise expected, like a path in media that would have otherwise been expected of me. But it really, I think, is the reason why Whetstone stood apart. We came into the market with a very clear editorial vision. It was about food origins and culture. We've worked in almost 100 countries in print. We have a podcast network. Obviously, we've done a bunch of stuff in film and video. And so it was really, again, just about understanding that the way we were talking about food was omitting the global majority population of the world. And that just felt like a very obvious thing that needed to be corrected.
And like, what kind of audience were you able to cultivate doing that? And did you ever have any doubts, like, will this resonate with a wide audience? Will people think it's too niche? The kinds of things that we are often told about our content.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely advised to not start a print magazine in 2017. And, it wasn't like I came in and said, this is exactly what's going to happen. I was trying to find an audience that felt the same kinds of irritation that I felt. Yeah. And we were lucky that, we timed the market properly. We were lucky that in 2017, even though we were the only ones kind of saying it with our whole chest at the time, like, this industry is really racist. This omission is actually racism in practice. And especially when it comes to, questions of power, like, in real material ways, Black chefs, chefs of color, missing out on opportunities, missing out on revenue, et cetera. It was just really clear that something needed to be created that was not just about like equity, but that was just more about reality.
And who does your audience look like today?
Today, it's a pretty mixed group, I would say. It's mostly women. I don't know. Infer what you will. It's also, that's a reflection of our team too, I would say the majority of people who work at Whetstone are women of color who live in urban metropolises all over the world, and who are part of a diaspora community, who are looking at food as a way to go deep, as a way to learn more about ourselves and build community.
I came to food media sort of from the other side, right? Like, coming in, reading these food magazines, feeling like, why do I have this feeling that this is not for me?
Right.
Am I overthinking this and thinking this is not for me? And then entering the industry and realizing, like, actually, the reason that I think this is not for me is because the people making these magazines don't look like me. It wasn't for me.
That's right.
And I think, like, one of the things that I've struggled with from day one is, like, I want everyone to be like, but like with my book Indianish, I want everyone to be cooking dal chawal at home, but I was told, no, that's too niche. People just want to like roast chickens and make pasta.
Yeah.
And no, I'm like truly was in meetings where people said this. And I think like one of the things that's been really tough for me is like unlearning this notion that my food is not mainstream. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Priya, you're helping in that journey, first of all. So thank you for that work. And, we knew each other in 2017. And you're right, we were very much approaching the same problem from two different perspectives. But, at the time, it really wasn't for you. I do think that what has changed in 2022 is that we have a bifurcation of media that has really changed the dynamics of power, and especially in a what I call post-2020 world, right? A sort of awakening, right? This really created a new paradigm in media where, even though it's crass to say, the business model of omitting people of color it actually became bad business. And we're still living in that reality, which is uncomfortable for all of us. And it's also true.
I was going to ask, like, post 2020, when people, I'm sure, were reaching out to you suddenly. Being like, do you want to host this? Do you want to write this? Like, do you see long-lasting systemic change to our industry?
It has been changed. We're already living in the change. Again, when we came out, there was nothing else like Whetstone. There's still nothing like Whetstone. But what the world needs from us in 2022 is so different than what it needed in 2017. And we have to be honest and call that progress, right? I'm also, I'm not a cynical person, but sometimes I express cynicism. And so when I'm looking at the changing landscape, I'm also like, what changed? It got more diverse, but did it get more diverse because people in those meetings who were saying cook chicken, all of a sudden were saying, we should get more diverse? No, there was an impetus, there was an event, and that is where my cynicism lies. So will the institutional media entities and organizations continue to rely on diversity as good business, among other things? I don't know. But the fracture that happened among consumers, where we get our news, who do we look to? That fracture is real, and you can't put the toothpaste back in.
Do you feel more empowered as a Black creator in 2022?
I feel empowered because I own Whetstone Media. I feel empowered because, I didn't expect to be in this position. I created this magazine, which turned into a media business, because, like you, I didn't think I was gonna have a space.
Yeah.
And so to now have had the privilege of visibility, distribution, it's all house money for me. And so my job now is to put other people on and to basically create the same visibility and platform opportunities that I've been afforded.
So I want to talk about that, because this is like, I feel like as people of color, we've often been trained that there can only be one. There's one Black chef, one Indian chef, one Korean chef, and there's very much this sort of crab in the bucket mentality of in our industry where, there's only room for one person of color in a particular community to be accepted by the mainstream. And I feel like that to me, I feel like is changing a lot.
I think so too.
So, go ahead.
No, I am agreeing with you.
No, my follow-up question to that was like, so how, you said that like, you feel like you have this tremendous platform, so now your question is, how do we sort of afford the opportunities that we've been given to others? So in your experience, what has been the best way to do that? How are you doing that? How do you plan to keep doing that?
Okay, 3 questions in one. Yeah. We are doing that. Okay, let me back up. So when the way that I think about it, and you're right, there was a long time where when media was dipping their toe into diversity, is you get to be a representative of an entire nation or nationality. There can only be one, right? That created a scenario where people really were competitive for that spot, which is obviously not going to create a great outcome if change is really what the desired outcome is.
And puts a tremendous amount of pressure on that creator to be representative of an experience that is not singular, that's not a monolith.
That is correct, and we're still not liberated from that particular dynamic, but it is in an improved state. So the way that I look at it is that, power actually grows and expands the more people that you let hold it and touch it. And actually people who get power and they squeeze it, it slips right through their fingers, or it shows up in ways that make it difficult to be around these people in relationship to these people, especially for people of color, so-called marginalized groups. The way for us to get more free, more opportunities, is to let more people touch that power. And so I do think that, and this is also part of a post-2020 world, that kind of enlightenment around community connected to a larger decolonizing movement and way of thinking that refocuses our energies and intention on building together and building within community and moving off of that crabs in a bucket mentality that you're talking about.
So what are some things that you're doing sort of in your everyday life?
In my everyday life, we're passing the power around. Should I tell?
I think you should tell them.
Okay. So
You heard it here first, people.
I'm about to tell y'all a secret right now. But I told Priya that I was going to tell y'all, and I was like, is it okay if I tell? And she's like,
yeah.
It's okay. But it is related to this conversation because, as I said, what the world needs from us now is not the same. We were critiquing these institutions that hold power. But now, if we're being real, the switch up is that the institutions actually need the talents in 2023 more than vice versa. This happened quietly. This is part of the fragmentation. This is because of technology, because of social media, because of changing consumer behavior and consumption. And so now, very quietly, who's holding the power? It's the talent, right? And the line between talent and media has gotten very thin. It's like unrecognizable. And so what we're reacting to is we're in this middle phase of our life, and where we need to go is to give people more power. So Whetstone is creating a talent management agency just strictly for culinary talent. We're gonna be representing chefs, farmers, sommeliers, beverage directors, everyone in the space who, again, especially in a post-2020 context, now have brands reaching out to them directly in their DMs, right? Where you have people on the consumer level treating talent as a source of news and information. Right. So we are really keen on making the most of these relationships, naming and putting a light on the change that's happening within and around our industry. When we came out, we thought influencer was Kim Kardashian. But now, because of the relationship between talent and media and how they are necessarily intertwined, we're really excited to bring our platform and our respective and relative power and all of the information that we've garnered with contracts from Netflix and iHeartRadio and Google and you name it, to bring that information in a very public way to help put our people on and share power.
And I mean, like, one of the most amazing ways in which you have sort of put yourself and your community, like, front and center is with High on the Hog. But my first thought watching that show was like, I wonder what it took to make this happen. And I wonder what was supposed to go in that didn't go in. Like, I wanted to know what the behind the scenes was. So I'm curious, like, what did it take to put a show like High on the Hog on Netflix?
Oh man, I just have to laugh because it was so improbable. You know, the odds of that show getting made are just very low. You know, again, in 2000, that show, we recorded in 2019. So we didn't know what COVID was back then. And I think I found out about it maybe in 18 or the beginning of 19. And it was a time where Netflix was spending, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 billion dollars in a single year on making television. And I actually got a call. It wasn't something that I pitched. I got a call that said, from Fabian Tobeck, who's the executive producer. She says, I'm trying to sell a show based on Dr. Jessica B. Harris's text, High on the Hog. I'm like, great, the world needs it. You should try to sell it. And if I can help you, you let me know. And so, candidly, I was not thinking that the show would get sold.
Yeah.
And
why?
Because we hadn't seen it before. There was no context. We had nothing to say. Oh, it's sort of like
Right.
the thing wasn't there.
Yeah.
So when I found out that they actually sold it, I then thought, oh, y'all want me to help you produce this show.
Yeah.
So I can call my friends and I can help you produce the show. And then I found out they wanted me to host the show. And, you know, I had to call Dr. J and get her blessing first and foremost. But the experience of filming High on the Hog, it felt like we stole something when we were filming it. It was like we were getting away with something because we were like, we don't really think they know what this show is about.
Yeah.
We don't think they get what we're seeing and doing with this work. And so when we started to show the first edits to the team at Netflix, they started hitting us up on the text like, yo, this is, and we're like, oh, that's cool, you know, like, we're glad you like it. But the way that, you know, the public reacted to it, especially Black people, was and remains the greatest honor and privilege of my life. It was a stunning experience to go through in every way imaginable. And I'm happy to say that the work continues, that we have filmed the second season. And yay, I know, right? Seriously, thank you. And yeah, it continues to be a privilege.
And it's cool because now people can pitch shows being like, this is High on the Hog for...
And let me tell you, Priya, that is happening, okay? Stay tuned.
So I want to use the last 7 minutes of this to kind of turn it over to you all and kind of talk about, sometimes, like, you know, when I talk to people, when I'm signing books, they're like, what can I do as a consumer? What can I do to be a more responsible cook, a more responsible consumer of food media, knowing that we sort of live in this world where legacy food media has been white for so long. So I guess I have some thoughts, but I'd love to hear from you, Stephen. What can the people in the audience be doing on a regular basis?
Well, it takes desire, first of all. I mean, if you don't care, then like this exercise is not for you on a basic level. And the way that I look at it is that I feel like we make the best shit, you know? I think that our magazine, what we do in food publishing, that perspective, which is diverse and global, that's made by really creative people who really care, we're really good at that. And the reason that we're really good at that, beyond the art and the visual, is the perspectives are coming from many, many, many different countries around a certain editorial lens and worldview. And so if I'm a consumer, if I love food, I'm gonna be like, I want the source that's gonna give me a editorial lens that makes sense to me, that I can get down with. In our case, food origins or food culture, broadly speaking. And then give me that POV from like smart people all over the world. That's why I can say that I feel like we're making the best work in this publishing category, because nothing else like it exists in the category. and the diversity actually becomes, just like I said in the beginning, good business. But we've always been on that, you know, not from the business side so much, but really, although it is, but from the like in product side too. So I think just on a basic level, yes, support, right? Like since when we came out, we were the only Black publisher in food. There are 2 Black women who have their own publications now. Clancy Miller, who's one of my great friends. Yes, shout out Clancy. We love you, Clancy. She has For the Culture magazine. Amber Mayfield has While Entertaining magazine. Yes. Woo. So like we have already been a part of creating a shift that I believe has improved the space in the category.
Yes.
And if you're a consumer, like you should want to put your dollars and your support behind people who are making the space better.
And like it extends not like start with magazines and cookbooks, but it extends far beyond that, right? Like when I first started doing videos, I was told by the head of our video, like the videos that just perform the best are hamburgers and like birthday and like cake videos. Like I just, your video of you making aloo gobi just isn't going to ever stand a chance against those videos. And so the first thing I always tell people is like, like every click of the remote, every click on your phone, it has tremendous meaning. All of these companies, they look at that data and they think, okay, people are engaging with this video, so we should make more of these videos. The more that you click on shows like High on the Hog on Netflix, the more that you watch videos produced and hosted by people of color, the more that you follow those people on Instagram, go to their events, give them your money for their cookbooks. Like all of that makes a tremendous difference. And we have overwhelming odds, I think, to overcome, like just looking at legacy media. But like, I don't think people understand that like the small individual decisions that you make like add up so tremendously. Like every single person who buys Indianish, I'm like, thank you. Thank you for buying my cookbook. And in your journey to making Indian food, you chose not the, chicken tikka masala recipe that's #1 on Google search from, whatever.
And Priya, you opening it up for everyone coming behind you as well. Like that's the power. It's about who is the Priya in 10 years or who is not born yet, who can use Indianish as a point of reference. So you also are Vanguard and you be doing numbers, Priya. So it's like, we're happy to see you, and and I think that, part of this appeal that you're making, you also have to, or you get to say that I'm living proof, that it is possible, so that if you are an editor or a manager or a person who gets to decide who gets visibility, access, exposure, then like maybe the reason that you think the hamburger videos are the ones that do numbers is because y'all have never done anything else.
Right, exactly. It's like, I always thought when I was getting into food media, I was like, I just need someone to open the door a crack for me, and I will run right through that door.
And you did that. You really did that.
Okay, well, I think I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry. It's okay. Or you can cry. You can cry too if you want.
Oh, this was such a great conversation. Steven is like, truly the best television host person. Like, I cannot say enough amazing things. Whetstone just launched a magazine dedicated to the South Asian diaspora called Rasa, and it is a remarkable achievement. It's so great.
Thank you.
You also have a wine book coming out. What's it called?
Black Terroir. I'm writing a book right now. Yes, thank you. Y'all are very generous people.
Yeah,
thank you.
You all are great.
Yes, I am writing a book. We have a podcast network. If you get into podcasts, you can just search Whetstone or Whetstone Radio. We have 10 shows in the market from all over the world. We collaborate with artisans all over the world to make ceramics, textiles. This is a collaboration from Oaxaca. So we're doing all of the things, and we appreciate your support. And I appreciate you, Priya.
Oh, I appreciate you. Well, thank you all so much for coming to listen to us. This is great.
Thank you.